Welcome to a new studio vlog. I started recording footage for this video back in January and thought that I would be able to share it with you in February, but life got in the way. We needed to fly back to Latvia for a few days at the end of January, and after that everything is kind of a blur. I don't really know how February passed so fast, and now we are already at the end of March almost. Spring is here. Let's say that knitting has been more than welcome this past difficult month, and that even though I don't think that I have footage of all of the things that I worked on this winter, I did end up creating quite a few things nevertheless. At the very beginning of the video, I started working on a new design which is inspired by a garment that I already own and wear constantly. An oversized tunic that I adore wearing whilst working at the garden or in the woods foraging for delicious mushrooms. In order to create the look of this tunic, I needed to find the perfect yarn for it first. I knew that it had to be lightweight and airy, so naturally I turned to Plötulopi once again. When comfort was much needed, endless rows of mindless stockinette stitch were more than welcomed. And this is what this tunic is. A simple raglan construction with little details. But I will be sharing more about this new design in the next video.
Just where it was needed, gleaming black as night, cloistered in injustice, dead in the eye of time. Nobody is losing, faces merge and change, but your face remains the same. Swallows will be here by dawn. When we're finally sober, they'll be gone. The trees will bloom and ice will melt. We'll always remember how it felt. Significant life, just what it was needed, clean in the blackest night, cloistered in injustice dead, and in the eyes of time, nobody is losing. The sparrows will be here by dawn. When we finally sober, they'll be gone. The trees will bloom and ice will melt. We'll always remember how it felt.
The second project that I found myself recording footage of here is a new pair of socks, inspired by yet another design that I created during the holiday break. I'll show you that a little bit later on. Even though this new design is just a sock pattern that doesn't require much yardage, the technicality of it made it one of the hardest things to create, because one stitch too much on the left or the right meant that I had to start over. I started mixing mediums a little bit and started incorporating very simple crochet elements to my knitting to recreate and emulate the look of embroidery. It took me so many different attempts before finding the right technique to use, endless amount of paper to try to chart the idea that I had in my head, finding the perfect yarn to make it work, and so much time to practice how to manipulate a medium that I knew nothing of. But I know from experience that the most rewarding designs are the ones that I struggle the most with for some reason. I don't know why. It could be because the struggle that I experienced to create these designs to look exactly the way that I want them to make them quite unique and therefore more interesting for knitters. One thing for sure, it challenges me in ways that do make me uncomfortable and uneasy because it's uncommon ground to me. But isn't it the way that we grow and become better at what we're doing? Thank you Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Skillshare is an online learning community offering a myriad of different classes on topics ranging from specific watercolor skills to journaling, knitting, productivity, any topic that you might be interested in. Skillshare probably has a class on that topic. After so many years of wanting to learn how to sew, but being so afraid of using a sewing machine, I finally did it thanks to the Quick and Dirty Sewing Machine Crash Course by Miranda Harper that I took last year. I've finally been able to start working on little quilts for Iris. If you'd like to try out Skillshare, the first 1,000 people who click the link in the description will get a 1 month free trial of premium membership. So as I have mentioned earlier, it's been a little while since I last recorded, and I've been wanting to have this video out way earlier than I did, but things got very busy and unexpected in January, and it just kind of took us by surprise, to say the least. And yeah, it just things just got a little bit crazy. Life happened, and then Ukraine happened, or is still happening rather, and yeah, it's just a crazy time to live, I think. And because of that, just I've been knitting a lot, don't get me wrong, but I didn't necessarily have the desire to like record everything. And yeah, it's just, I think it's impacting us, like a lot of us, in so many different ways, and it's just hard. It's just really hard, and obviously nothing compared to what people are experiencing. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that because it just felt really wrong to just talk about the knitting and not address something still major happening in the world. And so when the whole thing happened, I think it started on the 23rd of January. So very quickly after, a lot of people started raising funds for charities that are helping people that are directly impacted by the war. And I thought, that would be such a good thing to do. So we managed to raise over $4,000 through the sale of my patterns at the beginning of the month. And it's just really amazing. I don't know, it just shocks me to think that one single pattern and another single pattern and another single pattern can really hopefully help to make a small difference in the life of people that have been so tragically impacted by that. So thank you so much for everything. In terms of knitting, yeah, I haven't shared all of the things that I finished. There's 2 pair of socks that I finished and then I knit just for myself. There's a pair of hand spun socks that I made, and a pair with beautiful yellow yarn that I got during the few days that we stayed in Latvia, and the whole time that I was there and in the plane when we came back, I finished that little pair of socks. So yeah, I have quite a few things that I have finished, but yeah, for some reason I didn't record that much footage this past couple of months. But I'm really hoping to change that a little bit. Even though I'm recording 2 videos a month for my Patreon, I really want to try to get back to the habit of having at least 1 video a month here on YouTube, even though that might mean that sometimes videos might be way shorter than probably this one. I think this one might be 25 to 30 minutes long. So maybe something like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and not necessarily like a chatty one, because most of the time I really like staying quiet. So yeah, if that's something that you would like, please do let me know in the comments down below. That would really help. Yeah. So I mentioned last time the natural sock along, which I'm hosting for this year 2022, and I haven't really started to talk about it yet, once again, because things happened. But I am treating myself to a little pair of socks that I'm knitting out of Tukuwool fingering, which is very quickly becoming one of my favorite sock yarn. It is beautifully rustic, and I just love it so much. So nothing fancy here, just a small sock for myself that I can wear in my boots. And I'm finally taking the time to make myself something with this beautiful yarn that I got a few months ago, because when the parcel arrived, I think that was back in November, I had zero intention of creating new designs with it. I solely meant to use it for making socks, but in December I took 2 weeks off for the first time in like forever, because my parents came to visit and we rented a little cottage by the sea. I had zero intention of working, but I just couldn't help myself, so I took some Tukuwool in my luggage, and I thought that I would be making myself simple socks. But then inspiration came out of nowhere and I just couldn't stop myself. So I made these little socks on a whim, and these are the socks that I talked about at the beginning of the video, using Tukuwool fingering, and this is knitting, and I've used my little crochet hook to add that little part, and I've included like a video tutorial in the pattern to show you exactly how to do that. So yeah, the pattern is now out, so we'll be adding a little discount code for you down below. And because I couldn't stop with just the socks, I also made some fingerless mitts. And the older I'm getting, the more I'm falling in love with brown. It is just so earthy and feminine, rustically feminine. Yeah, the little mitts are currently being tested, and as soon as the pattern will be out, if you've purchased this pattern, that one will be available for download for free. one last thing that I have to mention about Tukuwool is that they are in the process of building their own fiber mill, which means that before they will be able to start spinning their own yarn, they will not be adding more Tukuwool fingering to the shop. So if you're interested in purchasing and stashing up on this yarn, you should do it now, I think, before it just runs out. And I'm probably gonna do that as well. And this is Tukuwool fingering, not Tukuwool sock, I think, which has a different yardage and has nylon. So this is their natural base, which comes in 50 gram skeins, 200 meters. And that's the colorway 07 Mantu. This one is Anga 05. Really deep brown. This is one of my favorite. Nila Heathered 32. And this is Roto Heathered 36. And what I love about this yarn, it's 100% finish yarn, and the wool is for the heathered. The wool is either brown or gray, so when it's over dyed, the yarn is heathered, very earthy, just that would definitely be a desert, one of my desert island yarn with, I think, Plötulopi, most probably. Plötulopi is amazing. You could do so many things with it. Just using it single, you can make like fishnets with it, probably double. You can make like the thickest, or triple or quadruple. You could felt it, you can spin it. So yeah.
Thank